I have on today the author of Under an Ionized Sky and Chemtrails, HARP, and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth. She's a teacher, lecturer, and I consider an expert into the field of this technocracy hurtling toward us and the unseen radiation. She's a deep researcher and concerned that humanity is to be neurologically herded toward a transhumanist future inside the space fence lockdown, and I couldn't agree more. Welcome back to Chant Down Radio, Elana.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And we talked about a year ago, and we kind of broke down deeply what is going on then. But now, how much more has 5G taken over, and what's this progress been like?
Well, for me, because I'm so dedicated to this geoengineering aspect of what's going on all over the planet, and its relationship both with chemicals in the jet trails, the rocket trails, the drone trails, and the wireless technology that is rampant now that the atmosphere has been ionized, thanks to the experiments run with HARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project up in Gakona, Alaska, back in the 90s all the way to 2013. All that fits together for me now. Now, I'm on the third book, and hopefully last book, this one will be about the synthetic biology connection to geoengineering. And 3 weeks ago, I gave a talk with Clifford Carnicom, the independent scientist, who actually was in the late 90s, was the very first one I know of who was collecting data from in northern New Mexico, from the jets that were spewing out these long chemical trails that he knew were not contrails. And he would collect the precipitation, that would be snow, rain, dew, and he was also collecting the dust, detritus in his HEPA filter, right, and analyzing all of this on pretty much a shoestring budget. Clifford hardly ever goes public anymore because he's been 20 years in this, pursuing this ghostly national security state technology that they keep denying is even existing, or it has not been used, or whatever. Well, now that since Trump came into office, they have admitted that they're going to, gee whiz, have to use geoengineering. Well, that's all nonsense. It's been going on for 20 years. Yeah. So when Clifford and I gave our talk in Santa Fe a few weeks ago, the title of it was From Geoengineering to Bioengineering, and this is the key, and that's the same direction I'm going in, just from what I found in writing the first book, and then going on to the Space Fence book, and the lockdown, and how the chemistry and the electromagnetics are used in our ionized atmosphere. What exactly is being dropped from the stratosphere that doesn't end up rotating around the Earth in the, and I don't know if I told you this last time, but on the cover of my second book, Under an Ionized Sky, is an Earth with a Saturn-like ring around it. And this is accurate. This is what is forming around the equator from all the sounding rockets that are parabolically going up into the upper atmosphere and running tests and dropping chemicals and dropping nanoparticles that are either sensors or microprocessors or even pathogens, dropping it and then seeing how they end up either centrifugally spinning around and eventually settling into that ring that is around the equator, or dropping earthward, where we, of course, breathe it in because it's all on a nanoscale. So this is what's going on. The biggest experiment ever that I know of, and I am a historian by trade. I don't think there's ever been anything on this scale that has been done in using all of humanity, even the vaccination programs that we've been subjected to for over a century. Even those pale in comparison to the very air we breathe, the very water we drink, the very soil that grows what we eat. So this is where we're at. And Clifford does his take on it through Morgellons.
Right.
He's made a huge study of the Morgellons pathogen and analyzed it, and now is confronted by the U.S. Patent Office because of who controls it. It's a three-letter agency I won't mention. He is unable to get a patent for the DNA of this pathogen. So he's facing those challenges. I'm continuing to put all the pieces together that I can fathom. I had a conversation maybe a month or more ago on the phone with Dr. Martin Paul. He was en route to Europe, and he is very involved in writing a book on this problem of the weak EMF fields. And by the way, did you know that my initials are EMF?
No, I did not.
How about that? Talk about destiny, huh? Anyway, so we talked about the electromagnetic fields, about the electromagnetic problems for the organism, the human organism, the animal organism, the plant organism, all of life, in fact. And we particularly talked about something people may have heard of, that these weak EMFs activate the voltage-gated calcium channels in the plasma membranes around our cells. This is one of the big problems of the 5G. This is really, really very important, so I will repeat it. These EMFs activate the voltage-gated calcium channels, it's called the VGCCs, in the plasma membrane around our cells. And put 1 million ions per second into the cells, which is basically what moving into the millimeter gigahertz range means.
Right.
And you are going to increase cellular calcium and the signaling that goes on. It literally exhausts the cells, exhausts. And of course, we have had a huge scaling up of all the autoimmune diseases. And a lot of those diseases, they're not diseases like chronic fatigue syndrome. These are not diseases. These are symptoms of this calcium, this VGCC problem of living in a wireless and constantly activated non-ionizing radiation. That's what's going on. So he is very dedicated to this, and I think it's extremely important what he is doing. We talked about the TSA using terahertz lasers in the terahertz imaging detectors at airports.
Right.
I've been flying quite a bit lately, and I constantly have to ask to be patted down. And even one time, the fellow working for TSA stood there and made fun of me to all the other people going through the the TID. So it's a terrible thing that has been done to us since 9/11 to add those to the airport.
Right. I was just going to say that I just went through one a few weeks ago, and the guy was trying to tell me that I'm going to get more radiation from flying because of their navigational equipment than this machine. I was like, how so? And he was honestly just speaking the rhetoric that he was told by his uppers. He had no idea that the U.S. Air Force even conducted its own research into ultra high frequency and the potential weapons technology. He just was spouting out what he'd been told by his uppers, and he didn't have anything to say after I said that because he really couldn't battle it. But yeah,
No.
They think they know, and yet they're getting high cancer rates. I think I've been reading by standing next to those machines all day.
Yes, they are. I feel for them, but ignorance is not bliss.
No.
So now I'd like to bring in my part of this. Besides the VGCC, there is another aspect of this, and this became quite clear to me after two relatively long Skype conversations with the German chemist Harald Kautz-Vella.
Right.
And Harald is considered radical by the scientists who are aware of his work, maybe a little too radical for them. Harald is he's a maverick of sorts, but he's extraordinarily brilliant. And he was asked to speak to the 5G, so he spent several weeks on it, reading everything he could. I sent him a bunch of stuff. I don't know if he read it, but he came up with some of the following, and I want to read it. And then there's actually another piece of the puzzle that I'm going to have to dig for here. I was on a radio show last night, sort of made a mess of things in my notes here. Okay, so first of all, the HARP up in Gakona, Alaska is a good example. If you've seen pictures of it, and everybody pretty much has seen pictures of it, it's like acres of phased array antennas. Yeah. And they're all sort of pointed skyward. And these phased arrays, what it is it produces signals that are phased, which means they have laser quality. And when those signals are pulsed in data transmission runs, the pulse laser quality creates longitudinal waveforms, not transverse standing waveforms. In this way, with 5G, which is also a phased array antenna, that would be the small antennas they're telling us they're going to put up every few houses because the millimeter wave, being as high powered as it is, still cannot really go the distance. And so what it's going to do because of that, it's not just those little those little phased array antennas that are put up everywhere. It's also going to use the Internet of Things in the neighborhoods in order to draw power, and then it can steer and beam that power at individual houses, or it can work in concert from all these different antennas, these phased array antennas. It can activate the phased array antenna in the 4G and 5G phones. Very important to know this. They both have a phased array antenna in them on a tiny scale. But what this means is they can lock in. Okay, this is coherence. And this coherence is what makes this into basically a weapon. So the fact that the phased array antenna is being used and that signals are being pulsed, what happens then is it can then enter the scalar realm through the light frequencies and wavelengths, because of its laser quality, it can become scalar. And now we're definitely in the realm of the weaponizing of this. It's polarized light, and the polarized light is bioavailable, whereas non-polarized light is not. And the fact that it can move biologically makes it also a weapon of great power over us. So it isn't just the calcium ion gates that are at risk here. It's that in some strange way, and this is where I'm going to get absolutely weird, in some way, it's as though we're entering one of those scalar dimensions with this weapon. This takes us, this is not just more 4G. This millimeter wave plus the phased array, plus the coherence, plus the polarized light, all of this draws toward the scalar dimension. And what lives in the scalar dimension? Well, our thought, for one, our very being, for another. And this to me is the problem. And where Harold really got my attention was when he was talking about, and now I'm searching for that paper, but maybe I can do without it. When he was talking about the increase in the children who now are autistic, right?
Right.
Okay, so autistic children, there's something about them that is quite unusual, and doctors have noted it. And of course, they have no real insight into what it really means. But what the children say they see when they get really freaked out at night, perhaps in their sleep, and they wake up, they see a lot of insect forms and snakes entering them, and this is they'll draw pictures of them. They will begin to bond with the image of the snake, and so the toy industry has begun making lots of toys, toy snakes, and this is kind of what has captivated me, is the autistic child is seeing some dimension. This is not simply that they have a tummy ache and their imagination's going wild. There is a pattern to these visions, and it matches with. I was talking last night on a radio show. It matches with what I wrote in chapter 10 of Under an Ionized Sky, in chapter entitled The Temple of CERN. CERN is a very unique particle accelerator. It's very large. It has, we've been told it's after the Higgs boson, the God particle, whatever. But really, it has other agendas. And I point to that in this chapter, that it is one of the first uses of the D-wave adiabatic quantum computer, produced in Vancouver, British Columbia, by the way, that this computer is self-conscious in some way, more so than a supercomputer, more so than a regular AI computer would be. So actually, the people working at CERN have pretty much turned over a great deal of their search through the magnetosphere and beyond the magnetosphere into other dimensions to the D-wave computer for its own choices. And so I definitely feel given the rites and rituals that have been performed at CERN, under the guise of other things that they say they're about, that they are involved in some sort of evocation of entities, dimensions, all of which could be in the so-called scalar realm, and that these doorways, these portals, whatever you want to call them, have been opened, and these children, the autistic children, are seeing into something that we, in all of our adult rational wisdom, are missing. And I want to put this out there as something that people can think about. And when they, particularly some of the targeted individuals who are seeing extraordinarily strange entities and visions in their targeting as they are being hit with microwaves, with no doubt millimeter wave, no doubt that they have been tested. These millimeter 5G weapon system has been tested on many targeted individuals without their knowledge, and they too are falling into the visionary that feels sort of like a video game, like they're being used in a video game, and that we need to be aware that this 5G may actually catapult us into a dimension that is completely unhuman and anti-human, and that we need to be aware of that as well, because it's very similar to what the autistic children are seeing, is very similar to what some of the Morgellons survivors are seeing crawl out of the lesions on their bodies. Unpleasant as all this sounds, let's get something straight. We are being led or driven to what has historically been called the threshold or the veil by Eastern religions, where the line between physics and metaphysics has been relatively well drawn, with a great deal of distance there, so that we can concentrate on our lives on the earth and not be distracted by all the other beings and dimensions and entities in the universe. But now, because of our out-of-control psychopathic scientists that have discovered a technology and they are not interested in whatever it will cost, they simply want it, they simply will have it, we are being driven to that threshold and thrust possibly over it. So we must now consider the metaphysics and physics of our condition.
Wow, that really kind of blew my mind. So we're talking about opening up another dimension, a portal. You're talking about, kids that are seeing maybe demons or reptilian entities. That kind of stuff comes to mind when you say that. We're opening up something that CERN has already opened up. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Well, I think so. That's... there are certain things about Morgellons that got my attention a few years ago. If you study it enough and you look at what Carnicom has done with it, and you listen and look on Facebook to all the people who are sharing how they're getting better or what's working and what's not working and what they're pulling out of these lesions, you see that it's an insect parasite world. And it's Harald Kausvela who has the courage to come forward and talk about these things, along with, remember, he's the one who brought the idea of the black goo.
Right.
And people laughed at that. But what is it? Why is it ending up in our science fiction movies, for one thing? I'm seeing it over and over and over again. So what does it mean that science now, quantum physics? Feynman theoretical physicist, said, if you aren't deeply disturbed by quantum mechanics, you obviously haven't understood it. Well, the quantum mechanics, this tiny world that they have unleashed on us, these nanoparticles, these nanosensors, these nanopathogens, these nanobots, unleashed in the upper atmosphere, falling earthward to go into our lungs, our blood, and our brains. These are part of quantum physics. They do not behave naturally. And this they have seen, much like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle when, they realized several decades ago that, wow, when we try to measure these tiny things or these waves, these particles that are waves that are particles, they sort of disappear and we can't measure them. And then they end up popping up somewhere else. What's going on here? No certainty. Well, it's the same with quantum, this quantum physics aspect, that the tiny world, the very tiny, the nanoparticle, the nano is, a nanometer is 1/billionth of a meter. You can't see it. You would need a $50,000 electron microscope to see it. These are part of the quantum mechanics world and drawing us into a quantum dimension. Just as our thought does not belong to our brain and is certainly not created by a chemical brain. That's so ridiculous, I can hardly even say it. It is, our thought lives in these quantum dimensions, and we are, if indeed these portals, or whatever you want to call them, are being opened by these particle accelerators, and CERN is just one, by the way, then what does that foretell for what we're going to be dealing with? And will 5G be used to activate these nanobots in us? And we will see all manner of strangeness around us.
Right.
Is it possible? Very possible. Very possible.
We haven't really seen what all this stuff they've been dumping on us for 20-odd years is actually capable of doing. It's all in our systems. It's in everything on Earth, every part of it. We haven't even seen the activation of it.
No, and it will be remote. There's no question about that. They're doing remote MK Ultra now. They don't need to take the poor child into a clinic anymore and hypnotize and drug and pain induct that child. They can do it from a distance. They can actually even possibly reprogram the nanobots already in our brain and the Morgellons, program them from a distance to do something unique, to create something else. I mean, this technology is far beyond where I am able to go so far. I mean, I'm under no illusion. It's just that I'm concentrating on it and things are opening up. And that's how it works with this kind of research. There's no books I can go read. There's no course I could take at Harvard or Yale. No. This is all, finding out on one's own. And I can only imagine what at NASA and all the different NASA places that they have, and all the military bases that are pursuing this technology. I can only imagine what some of the people working there are going through.
Yeah, wow. Going back, what I was going to ask you is, how are they going to do 5G in the rural? Because if it takes all these, every 3 telephone poles to have a transmitter, how are they going to do it with the rural areas? I mean, they've dumped a lot of stuff all over the Earth, so I can only imagine. But is it satellites or?
Yeah, they've got all those CubeSats up there. They've already launched 22,000 of them, and then they have those Google balloons floating all over the place and broadcasting. Will it work? Yes. You know why? Because don't worry about the distance, really. Yes, they've conditioned us to think that, oh, well, the millimeter wave can only go so far, and it can't even go through matter. Well, first of all, that is not true. And second of all, regarding the distance, this is the distance according to a non-ionized atmosphere. But we have an ionized atmosphere. It's pregnant 24/7 with tiny, tiny particles of conductive metals. Yeah. I mean, take a flashlight out at night when it's really dark out. Turn on the flashlight and welcome to the world of fibers and metals, and you will see what you are breathing. So I think that they're going to easily be able to, given that everyone's going to have a cell phone, right? Up to now, 3.5 billion people have a cell phone. Soon it's going to be 6 billion. And they're pulsing everyone who, I don't own a cell phone. I feel that I don't need to own a military weapon, really.
Good for you. Good for you.
They're pulsing everybody's cell phone and affecting their emotions and their thoughts already. It's already happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about what your town is like, but my town, I can tell people are just dopey. They're just, they can hardly think. They can hardly, keep their job and take care of their family to some degree. It's hard when you have a government and an industrial complex, an industrial intelligence complex, military, that when they don't tell you anything that you need to know, and then you have all your perceptions, and of course, the first thing you're going to think is there's something wrong with you, or you're getting old, or oh, my mother, the genetics from my mother explains it. Well, all that is hopeless. That has probably nothing to do with anything. But the fact that we've been GMO food, GMO foods are a delivery system as well, just like the jets above and the rockets above and the drones. And then we have the vaccination thing, and people are awakening to the vaccination thing because that's their children we're talking about. That's little babies we're talking about. And so people are awakening to the fact that the vaccinations for years have been piggybacked with various chemicals as they've experimented on Americans. So what did they do to the generations that are younger than mine? What has happened to them chemically? What were they piggybacked with that makes them stare at their phones and feel that, this is life? I don't know. I don't know if that's connected because this is a national security state. We're not being told anything. We're not going to be told for another 50 years. I mean, think about the Kennedy assassination. They just came out with, all right, we've got new material on the Kennedy assassination. Well, where is it? Well, it's not coming out.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to see it. Right? This is like 55 years later. Nope, still too dangerous. Still can't see it. So we're not going to see it. We're all scientists now. There is no one coming to confirm. I'm not waiting for some magical whistleblower. I'm not waiting for the experts to tell me. I'm simply going through the material and sharing what I find. And maybe some of what I find is incorrect. Maybe it's overblown. Maybe it's underblown. Time will tell as more people begin to study this. I have great respect for people who can concentrate and think and really take hold of this through their passion for the future of humanity. I have great confidence in these people, and I am always inviting them to join me in the great search, the great quest for what is true and what is not true. This is what we've been left with, and we can only develop under this shroud of secrecy that was thrown over us in 1947, the year I was born, by the way. I mean, all kinds of things happened.
Right.
year I was born. So I wanted to share those few ideas about nanoparticles. Number one, remember, they do not behave naturally. They have a swarm consciousness of their own, a swarm consciousness. And if you want to see them in operation, all you need to do is go over some of that footage that Jamie Lee did in his uplaintruth.info videos on the Paradise, California fire. And you watch those embers crawling over the earth. And I remember that when I realized what I was looking at, that this was not from the wind blowing embers. This was nanoparticles on the move through some sort of algorithm that was choosing this house and not choosing that house and choosing this house and not choosing that house. You can see them operating there through an algorithm, I assume, run by what I call the desktop laptop boys in Colorado Springs or at some fusion center near Paradise, California. This has been weaponized as well, the nanoparticles. And they can be made, they can be programmed, they can be made to move en masse. And so what is that going to do when somebody triggers an entire neighborhood or town or area of the country and activates all the nanobots inside of us? What's that going to do?
Yeah, what is it going to do? And so, I mean, do you feel like all this happening, I mean, do you feel like humanity is going to try to put a stop to this? Is there a way, or are we going to have to go through it? I mean, it seems like the elite think the human body will take all of this breaking down of our DNA and all these heavy metals and Morgellon fibers and all these frequencies, but I feel like the human body has to break at some point because it simply isn't designed for all this. I mean, is it just going to, I mean, how are humans supposed to continue on taking all this in?
Think how flexible we are. I mean, we have an adaptivity that's absolutely extraordinary. When I was a Waldorf teacher, one of the lessons in grade 5 was to present a few animal species and then juxtapose it to the human being. Like, I'm not as fast as the leopard by any means, but I have a versatility of a flexible versatility to be able to adapt. You know, I don't have the fur of a big brown bear, but I can make myself warm with fire, with things I can make. I mean, the human being has come a long way, and I'm sure that this is what is driving some of the scientists who are not simply in the need to know clearance category, that are just doing their little teeny bit without really seeing the big picture. There are some scientists who are esotericists, occultists. They have access to masses of ancient knowledge, scientific knowledge. I mean, the group I would tell you to look at is the Jason group. It's amazing to me how few people know it even exists. But this is the great gifted reservoir of scientists who are playing ball with the globalists, who are from dynastic families that have yearned for these days to come when the atmosphere would lend itself to a lot of different sciences and technologies to guide us over the edge of that threshold. So what will happen to the humans? Okay, here's my picture. And I, as you know, if you remember, I'm a student of Rudolf Steiner. All right, so somehow I foresee the only way to get out of this is some sort of a catastrophe, first of all. So, but I'm a cataclysmist anyway. I've read a lot of history, a lot of ancient history, a lot of theories, and there are a lot of people who import aliens and alien civilizations and things from other places, feeling that humans really just don't really have the capabilities. And I'm not one of those people. I believe that we've had many high civilizations and that we've blown it many times, and that we're heading toward another one. And that's what I wrote in my series Sub Rosa America, the 4 books that look at what has happened to America since Kennedy's assassination, from the vantage point of, and what date did I choose? Kind of scary to me now, 2019. From 2019.
Whoa.
I saw it in a dream. I saw the big, big numbers all in flames, 2019. So I chose that date. I hope I was wrong. But anyway, if we have a cataclysm, and say it's even a cataclysm in which all the nanobots have been activated in various people who have a certain type of mind, who have perhaps not developed their mind very far, or I don't know. I don't know how that looks, but I know consciousness plays a big role in this, in the defense of one's self. Consciousness is a key player in this. But anyway, so humanity splits. There are the humans who now have tattoos and subcutaneous computers in them, and they have decided to be machines. They have decided to be cyborgs, or they have been taken from birth, and they simply are cyborgs. And then there's the other smaller human lineage, that were people who really want to be human, as imperfect as it is, that they can't run as fast as a cheetah, that they can't retain warmth with a fur, that they don't have the, all that they don't have the intelligence of an AI. They want to embrace their Earth life, and so they go a different way. So there's a split in humanity. And now we begin to see a struggle going on, and the only thing I would add is a lot of people who are not very, I suppose you'd use the word spiritual, who have been taken captive by materialistic thinking, which would include aliens and space brothers and ETs and all that. For me, there is a spiritual world. I died in a wave at Makapu on Oahu when I was 22, and I was one of those people that saw myself speeding down the tunnel toward the beautiful light, and knowing I was going home, and being quite excited about it, by the way. and then suddenly somebody somewhere made a decision, nope, not time yet, and I'm going backwards. No, I'm yelling, no, I want to go home. And then I end up on the beach. I've ripped all the skin, about an inch of skin off the front of my body. My bathing suit is in tatters. No one's on the beach with me. There's no way I can figure out how I even got to the beach. And so I have to live now. And, I was depressed over that for a little while. I really wanted to go to where that beautiful light was. So that changed me. That made me realize, oh, okay, I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience on the earth. And I have a lot of work to do. I've only been here a few years, and I'm hardly awake. So I'm happy to be back. But it took a few days because I was pretty depressed. And so that spiritual world filled with wisdom, benign beings, however you see it. I don't see it as pearly gates and clouds and angels on harps, but I do see it as an intelligent reservoir of high wisdom that is completely dedicated to the human being becoming a free will being. And, it's a grand experiment. Rudolf Steiner even said that the human being is the religion of the gods. This idea of living in a body and really developing real free will, not, gee, I want vanilla ice cream, not chocolate, to develop real free will, you're probably going to have some pain, suffering, and danger. And I think we're there. I think we have this now. It's a great opportunity. We already knew we were all going to die, with death. As far as when death comes, does anyone really know? I don't know. I don't feel I'm in charge of that. Maybe some higher part of myself is in charge of it, but I'm not aware of it. So one lives with gusto for the moment, develops one's skills and gifts, gives them to humanity, lays them on the altar of humanity, as I am attempting to do in my imperfect way, and that's a good life. That's a very good life, and it will end when it ends. And then my picture, since I was 8 years old, when I remembered the first time I had lived, or I remembered a life, I'll put it that way, I'll be back, and I'll work harder next time. I'm going to take with me what I've gained here. I'm not going to lose it. Take it and come back, and so for several years I won't remember that I had been so-and-so and had done this and so. Maybe I'll even pick up one of the books I wrote and wonder about it. I mean, life is a mystery, and it's brilliant how it's put together so that we can learn here and learn lessons to help ourselves develop that free will that is so valuable to the spiritual world and to humanity in its consciousness evolution, that I want it to continue. And I do not want the transhumanists and the singularity guys like Ray Kurzweil and Singularity University. I do not want them to overtake our will with their electromagnetic 5G and nanobots and make us slaves. I do not want that. So I'm fighting. I'm fighting with everything I have against that.
And it becomes a spiritual thing, because when we start thinking about, these huge gloom and doom situations, you have to go spiritual. You can't just be here in this one dimension. We have to realize that it's a huge thing that Earth's facing, and I would say it's probably the greatest showdown on planet Earth. I would say that now everything's been attacked. The air we breathe, to the water, to the food, to
our
genetics, right? Everything, and the unseen is being attacked. And so I've always thought with this whole chemtrail spraying that this is the biggest thing that's happening on planet Earth, and it's not just the spraying, but it's all the different things that are linked up to it. And now 5G is kind of like maybe the final capstone of their whole plan. And we have to think about cataclysms.
It is amazing when you think about all the things that activists are pursuing now, and then you start really looking at them and go, hey, wait a minute. They're all connected.
Yeah.
They're all connected to this geoengineering thing. That's the unbelievable part. Yes, I think you're absolutely right. This is the showdown of the ages.
Yeah. Well, Elana, I think we should start wrapping it up here. Do you have any final words, and what are your next works that you're putting out, and shoot your website out there for us as well?
Okay. I don't have anything to say other than I hope people would join me in this struggle for humanity and the planet. I have some ideas of how to develop the kind of consciousness that can become much stronger than it is now. And it isn't through meditating or praying together. Those are fine, but that is not my idea. My idea is to use what Rudolf Steiner assured me of, that thinking is a spiritual activity of great power, and it reaches into these realms that we've been talking about. It's beyond the brain, beyond the body. And to develop thinking together, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name sort of thing, in a study group, and to read Under an Ionized Sky together and discuss it and understand and form clear mental pictures of this technology and how these very bright guys and women have created this technology for the wrong things, for the wrong reasons, and to really join them in the frequency of those particular kinds of thoughts, those high-blown, really theta and delta thoughts, above alpha, above the lower, where meditation happens. No, we need to really draw ourselves up together to the same frequencies that these scientists have used to bring this technology out of those special compartments in the universe where ideas, and Plato saw this very well, where ideas are. Einstein saw it. All scientists know that they gain entry to these places and they come out with amazing ideas. All right, so that's my hope. I am attempting to work with a few groups. And otherwise, you can check out my site that my web mistress has labored over intensely, elanafreeland.com. You can see a lot of the stuff I've done. And then I have a Facebook site, a closed Facebook site for people that want to just look at the geoengineering, and that is Elana Freeland, Under an Ionized Sky. And you can ask to be a member of that. Otherwise, you can buy the books on Amazon. You can buy them from Feral House. And I've heard there's a free edition on the internet somewhere. I hope that's true. And that's it.
All right. Well, yay. I appreciate your work, and it's been great speaking to you. You blew my mind with quite a few concepts today to really put it together into a really good big picture, and we appreciate your work, and thanks for coming on.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Yeah, bye.